Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and esteemed panelists. My name is Arun Karna, and it is my honor and privilege to welcome you all to this thought-provoking session on unleashing the power of AI, exploring opportunities and challenges in the age of artificial intelligence. This is as part of IACC's third Indo-US Services Summit. Thanks so much for taking time from your super busy schedules to be with us today. And I have to tell you that we have a coming together of some of the most accomplished AI practitioners of the industry here. And it's my honor to welcome this elite panel. So welcome Ms. Shaveta Wadhera, Managing Director, Accenture Consulting, Mr. Anup Purohit, Executive Council Member and Global Chief Information Officer at Wipro Limited, Mr. Dhanrajani, CEO and co-founder AIQRATE Advisory and Consulting, and Mr. Sunil David, independent consultant, manufacturing and process control practice, Frost & Sullivan. Welcome all. And before I turn to our elite panel here, I do want to take 2 or 3 minutes to quickly set up the context for the panel discussion today. So we all know that in this digital era, artificial intelligence has emerged as a transformative force, revolutionizing the way we live, work, and interact. From self-driving cars to personalized healthcare, AI is reshaping industries and presenting us with a world of untold possibilities. Today, we gather here to delve into the vast potential of AI, while also examining the challenges that come hand in hand. So we all know that the opportunities that AI presents, they are truly awe-inspiring. Some of them are pretty well documented as well. Across sectors, organizations are leveraging AI to enhance efficiency, improve decision-making processes, and drive innovation. It does open doors for intelligent automation, freeing up human potential for more creative and strategic endeavors. However, as we embrace the power of AI, we must also navigate the complex web of challenges it poses. Ethical considerations, privacy concerns, and biases in AI algorithms, they all demand our careful attention. I think we must make sure that AI is developed and deployed responsibly, taking into account the societal impact as well as the well-being of individuals. So basically striking the right balance between the technological advancements and human values is critical for building trust and acceptance. So that's one aspect. The other aspect is we must address the economic implications of AI adoption. So while it brings forth immense opportunities for innovation and job creation, it also disrupts traditional employment models and raises concerns about workflows displacement. And some of them are well-founded concerns. So preparing individuals for the jobs of the future and ensuring equitable access to AI-generated benefits are vital considerations. So to fully explore the opportunities and challenges of AI, we have brought together a panel of experts who possess diverse perspectives and deep expertise in the field. Today, we have the privilege to learn from their insights, experiences, and visions for the future. Through their collective wisdom, we aim to uncover strategies to harness the power of AI while navigating the associated risks and challenges. Thank you, and let the exploration begin. So let me begin the exploration with you, Shweta. You have extensive experience championing the digital transformation for manufacturing organizations across the technology domains. In your experience, how has AI really revolutionized these industries? And what are the most promising opportunities it presents for future growth and innovation? Over to you, Shweta.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Arun, for giving me an opportunity to really start off the conversation. Manufacturing, like you said, has been where I've spent large part of career, right? And I've seen it evolve in past 2 decades. And I think AI is coming in every way, right? And if you look at the entire value chain of manufacturing, right, when you start from, say, a supply chain, AI-based planning, budgeting, ability to adapt to the market, plan ahead rather than really respond to changes. AI has a huge role to play. You come down to shop floor, right? Starting from spotting defects, looking at predictive maintenances, right? Or for that matter, now digital twin of product of process. Right? AI is really become pervasive throughout, right? There is a need of that collaboration of humans and the industrial robots, right? With the advent of IoT and with the kind of intervention that's on the manufacturing floors, right? So that collaboration between humans and industrial robots that has a lot of AI play right up there, and not just like even the products. Right? Today, product like you said in the start, right? We are talking about autonomous vehicles, right? Before even autonomous becomes a reality in Indian context, right? Software-defined vehicle is right here, right? ADAS is right here on our doors, and AI has again a huge role there. AI has a role not just in the run in the product, even in the design of the product. We are today talking about generative AI solutions in terms of how product is designed and the whole new product lifecycle process, the way that is managed, right? In our reach to the customer, I can really go on and on, but the entire value chain, right? How we are reaching to the customer, the whole recommendation engines that play there, right? AI in the search engines itself, right? Targeted advertising that we do, right? So the entire value chain, if I was to talk about in the manufacturing space, has AI almost pervasive and everywhere. Yeah.
Thank you. That's a wonderful opening, Shweta. AI has a huge role, as you said, across the whole value chain. So whether it's the human machine interface with the robots, sort of cobos now, as we call them, maybe, and the interplay therein, the sort of move towards autonomous vehicles, but already software-defined vehicles are. And we in our domain talk a lot about software-defined networking, but it's software-defined vehicles are probably the counterpart in manufacturing. And the increasing role of generative AI, especially in the design aspects, and the whole supply chain automation, the floor automation, huge role. So thank you for getting us off to a great start there. I'll move over to Anup. Anup, you are the global CIO of a large global system integrator, and you have like massive 28 years plus of track record in digital and information technology management. From your experience, what are some of the key challenges organizations face in implementing AI technologies effectively, and how can they overcome these challenges?
Thanks, Arun, for having me over here. Let me share my experience in the last couple of years where we have been kind of forming the strategy of the entire AI, and it's going to remodel the way even we are going to do our business. We being an IT company, we have a different kind of challenges as compared to others. You have 250,000 technologies, and everybody wants to kind of dirty their hands on the OpenAI, ChatGPT kind of a technology. But the good part is that we have created a pivot. When I say pivot, it is top down from board and Thierry himself. So Thierry has formed the AI Council, which is a strong core 10-member team. And then obviously there are other folks who can play a role in that, but he had restricted to 10 of us. The need of this AI Council from our point of view was to ensure that we kind of create a guardrail. As we all know that this is a challenge which can be from ridiculous to sublime. We have data privacy challenges which we will have. We don't want to be in a situation where our colleagues are downloading the AI models and then kind of a training on Wipro data, and suddenly you find our data is sitting outside somewhere. So you have to form a guardrail. You need to have that. So the first thing is a sponsorship from the management. They need to understand that this is the future. This is something what web technologies did in 90s and the mobile apps did in 2010, and this will do now and for the coming decade. So this is here to stay. Unlike metaverse, it boomed up, but then again it fizzled out. This is here to stay for long. So the first one is, as I said, the pivot. That was an important part, so that there is a proper guardrail and a framework where 250,000 people needs to be kind of rightly aligned how we will be working on this space. The first thing was, as I said, the double-edged sword, data privacy, a part of it, ensuring that the security is taken care, ensuring that the infrastructure platforms are made available in a right manner. In a way, we are also contractually partnering with the ethical giants like Microsoft or Google, where we leverage their technologies. At the same time, we don't expose our internal customer data to them or to the market outside. So that was the framework put in place. That's the first thing which we did across. The second challenge, which obviously we have to ensure is how do we, for a company like us, we have a three-way. I have to consume and train my own people internal to Wipro. We have to give the AI solutions to our customers. And at the same time, we have to leverage our partners, OEMs like Microsoft, Google's of the AWS of the world in place. So we had to kind of form our proper strategy around that. How will we be addressing that? So we have a strategy for arts, alliances, relationship through technology partners, because that's our ecosystem. That's how Wipro has been partnering with across the technology domain. So the first element is we as a consumer training our people, and that's one big initiative. We have ensuring that almost everybody in Wipro, we have a talent transformation team who will get trained. We are partnered with for example, on Copilot, GitHub. We have trained our people along with Microsoft. We are partnering with them internally. Also, talent transformation team has created a program to educate our folks. At the same time, as Shaveta rightly said, it's not that AI is something new. It is being there for some time. It is now kind of rocketing like at a high speed. We've been kind of giving solutions to approximately 400 plus customers, and we have generated, I would say, $70+ million of revenue in this space, formed 55 odd patents in this area before. So we were already there in that area, focusing outward. Now focusing inward also at this point in time, how we will consume our technologies and using our go-to-market partners in that space. Obviously, we need to ensure that legally and we are kind of covering our organization when it comes to, because it's a very, very niche in terms of the Gen AI and adoption for our customers. We don't know the nitty-gritties. It's a double-edged sword, as I mentioned. We need to ensure that things are being done in a right manner. So the good part is that we have this framework now in place. We have a central repository who is working, because this is something, if anybody tries everything, we don't know what's what. So we have a central repository on our intranet that who wants to try it out, what they want to try it out, and we are kind of creating the ideathon, kind of ideathon or hackathons internally to call people, get the ideas from them, and then if the ideas are good, we are helping them to kind of nurture. So we have put up the framework around that. And I feel this was important for us to kind of do in a structured manner. Else, this can be, as I said, a kind of a amoeba or a hydra, which can grow all over the place if you don't put up a right structure around that. So yes, with kind of a leadership from Thierry, he himself is every week he spends 90 minutes with the key 10 leaders of us and to see how we are going to drive this strategy. And I think that is the most important. It has to have a pivot top-down approach where we put up a framework structure to drive this kind of technologies and kind of groom the talents internally. So we'll continue to do that in this space.
Thanks, Anup. So that was a fascinating ringside view of what goes on in a big technology company when it tries to implement AI. So, need for Sorry, go ahead.
We want to fail fast because every technology, we will not succeed. We have use cases which are working where we are succeeding and then where we are failing as well. So the culture of fail fast is obviously going to be playing a key role. Pick up things. We have to also ensure that the quality of the data on which we train the models have to be good. If the data quality is not that great, obviously the outcome is not going to be what we are looking out for. So ensuring the quality of the data is cleansed across.
No, absolutely, totally agree, and I, quite right. The need for a robust framework, which is sponsored from the very top, and I quite liked your, the three-way, the three dimensions that you mentioned. Consume internally and therefore train internally, but also be, you are a technology company, so you have the mandate to provide the solutions to your customers. And to do that, you have to necessarily work with third-party partners in various fields and technologies, but then also to make sure there are adequate guardrails. So to make sure that your own data is protected, the legal aspects are taken care of. So, the need for an overall robust framework clearly came through in that. And I quite like the amoeba analogy, though. So if it could be
it is, because whenever new technology comes in, everybody wants to try kind of dirty their hand, and then you realize that you've lost the control around that. You are not able to even see the ROI. People are spending money but not able to see ROI. So it's important that you put up a framework around that, and nothing better than CIO organization, because I'm a client zero. What you want to sell to others, I can be a patient zero or a client zero, you can say.
Yeah. So you in that sense, you're the first guinea pig in that sense. So
absolutely.
Fascinating. Thank you for that. Samir, coming over to you. Samir, you are a well-recognized AI advisor, thought leader, and influencer. You're known for your deep knowledge and expertise in AI and analytics. Now, lately, there has been a lot of interest and excitement generated by generative AI. As also, there's a lot of concerns being raised about the associated risks. So, what are the real ethical considerations and potential risks associated with the use of AI per se? And how can we ensure responsible AI development and deployment? Over to you, Samir.
Sure. So first of all, Arun, thanks for inviting me over. Great set of conversation by Shaveta and Anup. Let me pick up the thread what Anup was mentioning. Of my 26 years, I've spent 22 into analytics, AI, different nomenclatures have cropped up over the years. And let me tell you, with the conversations I'm having with the board, senior executives, CXOs, where I personally do a lot of what I call AI fluency sessions and masterclasses. It's not a technology anymore. It's a revolution. It's akin to an industrial agriculture software revolution. And it was in the making for quite some time because of the ChatGPT, the first ever tool which has democratized AI at scale. It's making a lot of discussions. And I'll tell you the reason. One, on the lighter side, but very true. For the first time ever, someone has actually hit the ego of humanity, which is intelligence, because that's where AI comes in. It's hitting our ego very, very pervasively and saying, look, I can do all what you're doing so far using the so-called word called intelligence. And AI in a very German side is all about the sophistication of image, voice, text, and video side of analysis of patterns put together, which is where organizations are trying to kind of create insights, intelligence, and recommendations for the customers. Now, when we come on the professional side, we are talking about three aspects, which is revolutionizing the use of AI. One, everyone is in a mode, and this is just picking up what Anup said, in a mode of accentuating the customer experience through AI. Second, the desire for AI to create innovation at scale for the product and services is truly kind of, let's say, found, and it's very, very real. Third, which is very disruptive, is AI is actually challenging the whole business value chains of the industries. Gone are the days where you can look at the typical HR chains of acquiring to engagement, or finance chain from, I would say, looking at all those reconciliations, or supply chain make, buy, source, and plan. everything is getting disrupted with point solutions, capabilities of AI permeating the business value chains of these business functions, which means productivity, efficiency, and efficacy is being discussed, which is where organizations are looking that, look, on one side, there are those staid legacy side of tools, applications, processes which have been built over the years. On the other side, there's a quest for every organization to become AI-powered organization. Now, where does it stand? Which means AI-powered organization, picking up from what Anup said, cannot be true unless it's coming from the top. So there has to be a buy-in for the management, CXOs, boards to say, look, how we can become an AI-powered, if not AI-first organization. Second, it needs evangelization, because lack of evangelization means you are creating havoc in the organizations with what we call the wrong use of data. Now, coming to your question, Arun, is whenever a revolution comes in where the technology supersedes the pace of adoption, these scenarios will occur because it's evolving. Tools have come in, ChatGPT, but there are organizations, and Anup and Shweta can vet, which are still at a very infancy stage of even data aggregation or the data quality issues. Now, there are two terms which I want to quote for the benefit of the audience, which are very relevant on the AI side, is guardrails, what Anup said, that if you are building those set of algorithms, models in the organizations which are very personalized, which are very, very specific, individual to the organizations, you have to put the guardrails. Guardrails are nothing but the set of assumptions, variables, and caveats what you build, which is specific to your organization, wherein the models can perform accurately. And that's the corporate responsibility.
Absolutely.
Second is what we call model or the algorithm hallucinations. I mean, if the wrong data is being fed, if those vested kind of, let's say, information is being put just to create what we call rogue algorithms, models will hallucinate. Now, which is where aspect for the AI in terms of being responsible, having more ethics and regulation needs to come in. And it's, by the way, nothing new for banks and retail companies who've been very, very front runners in terms of adoption of AI. There is something called champion challenger model where you build an equivalent model opposed to the first model what you have built just to gauge the accuracy in terms of a relative comparison. But what has happened because of the macro micro environment coming into the picture, things have changed. I'll give a kind of an example, which is as I would say recent as the pandemic. Now, before pandemic, if you see, many of the retail organizations were stocking left, right, and center, anything and everything about apparels. Suddenly, the lockdown came in all across the geographies. Apparel sales went down. The models didn't change. What picked up in terms of the demand was the sanitization, the oral hygiene. But the models were not tuned. So what happened? Inventory issues, aspect in terms of, I would say, the whole supply chain going for a toss started coming. Now, this is where organizations have twofold aspects in terms of responsibility. One, create those algorithms or AI-specific guardrails, which are very specific to the macro micro demands of not only, I would say, the economies, countries, or I would say the organizations, but also what could go wrong, which is where what we say in terms of ensuring what are the kind of, let's say, likely results to have models in terms of the red flag. Second, I think the information per se in terms of building AI fluency has to flow all across the organization. Now, there are two set of, I would say, scenarios or facets in any organizations, the yes-sayers and the naysayers of the AI. Now, which is where, back to Anup's and Shweta point, the more information knowledge building tools we are building within the organizations to spread the proliferation of AI will help mitigate the concerns what are coming out in terms of these AI regulations or, I would say, ethics. That's my take on this.
No, I think it's a wonderful perspective, Samir, coming from your vast experience. Before I comment, I'll put it back to the esteemed panelists here. If anyone wants to react or add on to what Samir has just said.
No, so I would kind of totally agree with what, in fact, was resonating in my mind when you was talking about all these things. And this is the real scenario I keep on facing day in and day out in what I'm doing across. And then I was also trying to correlate the same thing in my banking. Yes, banking was one of the early adopters of AI when I was in that domain, and we actually leveraging a lot. But yes, now the things have gone to a different level. And as you said, when technology pace increases, then what the adoption increases, then it's a revolution. And I couldn't agree more what Samir was talking about. And it will still skyrocket further. I can tell you that the way things are changing.
Anup, these are the early days. There's a lot in store. What you're saying is right coming up. So I think we'll have to brace up for, if I call it that way, AI tsunami actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I mean, a lot of things resonated, the choice of the tools, which need to catch up as well. And, looking at tailored algorithms, which consider both the macro and micros that would be affecting the business. And the business knows best what's the appropriate macro factors and micro factors that they should be considering. I quite like that term, the model hallucinations, and the need to make sure that the quality of data and the guardrails are strong enough so that the models don't start hallucinating, because then all hell will break loose and amoeba would be all over the place, I guess.
Absolutely, as simple as that. When we are using an Azure AI, we have to restrict it to a particular subscription. If you don't set it up right, chances are there that your data, even within the organization, it can go across where it's not, people are not supposed to see. So it's important to set up those guardrails in the right way, and it's important to set it up upfront, not post facto.
Yeah,
Post facto, you've lost it, right? And the privacy is going to be key, especially I think democratization Samir spoke about. I mean, that is at the helm of what AI will bring going forward. I think the generative AI has really brought it in everybody's hand now. Right? We are playing with it. People who know or do not understand the necessary controls that needs to be in place while you play with it, right? So that democratization will really bring about another era of learning, before we truly start using it as responsibly as we should.
Well said, absolutely, and fascinating discussion. Thank you. So, Sunil, let me bring you into the conversation. You've been rather quiet. You are a well-known digital tech consultant, and amongst many other things, you are also the CII National AI Forum member. And there's a whole new move towards sustainability these days. So, how can the power of AI be leveraged to usher in a more sustainable world?
Yeah, thank you, Arun, for that question. And before I answer that question, I would first like to thank you and the IACC for inviting me to be part of such a prestigious forum and to join this virtual event with such eminent industry leaders. Now, Arun, when you look at how AI can be used in sustainability, and sustainability is a very, very broad term, right? And it encompasses ESG, environmental, social, and governance. And given the huge focus on ESG, both from a global as well as from an India standpoint, and you may be aware that in India today, it is mandatory, especially since the last fiscal year, for the top 1,000 odd companies listed in the Sensex to submit their business responsibility and sustainability reports. Now, net zero is always going to be a key component of any company's sustainability strategy. And as a country, you may be aware that we have set a target to hit net zero by 2070. And if India has to really get to net zero or carbon neutral by 2070, the industry obviously has to do their part. And any organization's net zero plan would comprise of three important objectives. The first one being that you obviously want to measure and report emissions. That's number one. Tech will play a big part there. Number two, you want to reduce emissions because you want to, by optimizing your operational and business processes. Again, tech will play a huge part there. And third one is you want to offset your residual emissions through mechanisms like carbon credits. Now, if you just look at the E part of the ESG, the environmental part of the ESG, and that's where there is a lot of scope where you can use technology to optimize energy, water, waste, and the overall environment. So simple things like using energy meters, which are IoT enabled, to measure energy consumption from all the energy guzzling gadgets. It could be a HVAC, especially. It could be machines in a shop floor and so on. Now, energy wastage, especially in HVAC, Arun, and I'm going to emphasize a lot on HVAC because a lot of possibility is there to optimize and reduce energy usage if you're able to manage your HVAC. And energy wastage reasons today, first and foremost, is that a lot of inefficiencies are there in the HVAC system itself, be it in a large building, real estate, malls. Chillers inside are not sequenced, a lot of measurement errors, deficiencies of control, and so on. The HVAC control is also not aligned to the occupancy and comfort data. A lot of the HVAC usage, especially outside of office hours, due to manual scheduling, then the power factor issues, external weather conditions, and so on. But I just wanted to focus on two specific areas around. First, I wanted to talk about infrastructure, given there's so much of focus from the government on infrastructure space. A lot of spend has gone into that. And if you just look at infrastructure, I just wanted to highlight airports here. And I wanted to share an example of what was done for one of Asia's largest airports. This is a company that I consult who provide tech-enabled solutions for sustainability related use case. This is a very good use case which can definitely be replicated in India. And there are 280 gates. It's one of the largest and most busiest airports in Asia. 280 gates there. And what they have done is information from the flight information and display system, FIDS as they call it, that data is actually going into a data management platform. They're also taking in data from a building management system. They are also correlating it with the external weather conditions. On the basis of all this, they're able to actually regulate air conditioning, heating, ventilation, and lighting of that airport. And after they have, and there's of course AI that is fused into it, because you want to detect anomalies early on in any HVAC system. They've built an AI system which is very high degree of predictability. And after they have implemented the system, there's been a significant saving. And this is a solution that can definitely be replicable for many of the large airports in India. We have about 158 airports as per AI Airports Authority of India studies. So that's one. And then there are a couple of other buildings where they have done it, where they were able to optimize energy spend, especially regulating HVAC. Now, having covered HVAC, Arun, I want to quickly touch upon two industries, and that is chemical and pharmaceuticals. Again, this company that I consult, they did a study of a detailed system study of one large pharma plant, which is in the north of India. I can't obviously name that customer, but and I wanted to specifically talk about pharma and chemicals because both put together contribute almost 8% to India's GDP. And here, what they've done is, and if you look at any pharma chemical plant, which is in the process industry, there are a lot of energy guzzlers like boilers, compressors, chillers, reactors. A lot of them consume a lot of energy. And when they actually did this system study, they found that, especially when you're consuming utilities like compressed air, chilled water, and so on, huge scope to optimize energy. Their energy spend is almost like 15 crores per year. And by actually leveraging IoT and AI, and you can actually anywhere between 20 to 25% savings can be accrued. And the last example I want to share, Arun, and this is related to my own personal experience. After coming on board Frost & Sullivan, I had a chance to visit a chemical plant in Gujarat a couple of weeks back. And we did a detailed audit of that chemical plant. And again, the chemical plants would have very much similar equipment like boilers, reactors, a lot of machines which are idling, and so on. And again, 40 odd crores is the spend on energy, huge spend on energy, and purely because of the fact that they have not been able to optimize use of utilities. A lot of compressed air gets leaked. Again, HVAC, they're not properly controlled. A lot of optimization is possible there. And again, here, the ability to use the IoT to extract energy usage. And then, of course, you start adding your analytics layer, your AI layer over that. huge potential to actually reduce your energy spend there. And Arun, over the last 12 months, I've been tracking the space very, very closely. There's a huge opportunity to actually do a lot when it comes to energy users. A lot of the big malls that we are seeing in India today, in a same company which I consult, we've been reaching out to a lot of these malls, a lot of the hospitals, a lot of the hotels, a couple of studies that were done in a few hotel chains, massive use of energy, high energy bills, using the power of tech, a lot that can be done. And lastly, manufacturing and automotive, again, in the paint shop, especially in automotive industry, we are talking to a company which is trying to do some energy optimization in the paint shop. Again, huge scope to optimize energy there. So I'm very bullish that if you're able to do a proper system study on audit, make sure that you identify the right use case, make sure that you build the right solution. There's a lot of scope to really optimize energy usage. There's a lot that we can do. Thank you.
No, absolutely. Thank you for sharing. Sorry, Anup.
Sorry, Arun. So I'll just pick up a little bit from what
Sure.
I wouldn't hesitate to name a company. So I visited Cisco office in New York, bang in middle of the New York. It's a heritage building, which they have 100% of their unit activities which happens, whether it's lighting, AHU, everything they do is sustainable in nature. Their windows are enabled with solar panels. Their desks are powered through that stuff, lighting, everything. Anything and everything is done in an IoT manner, effectively utilized, I would say. And I was really off when I saw their office last few months back when I visited. But maybe I'll take another minute if you okay, particularly to talk about the responsible AI part of it, which Sunil was referring to. And in fact, this is one of the big area which we are focusing across when we talk about. Our goal is to ensure that all our employees can use these tools responsibly and with a critical mindset. In fact, our approach of responsible AI is based on 4 dimensions. The first dimension being the individual dimension, which is to ensure that how generative AI tools must protect and enhance the human dignity. And then what does it mean by that is privacy and security by design, fairness in processing the output of the AI, or responsible in handling and preparing the right data set with the equality in the mindset. And that's important as well, kind of a thing. The second dimension is the societal dimension, where this means that the AI system must improve the society and strengthen the values that binds us together. So there's a lot of focus around that. We are thinking AI for goodness, AI impact, transparent AI, kind of a strong support for measures that avoid you can call it a dissemination of misinformation and the disinformation, as well as kind of a thing. The third dimension which we are focusing is also on a technical dimension, this means that the AI systems are robust and safe, and they protect both personal and company information across. And again, this includes security by designs and strong protection against any attack which undermines the privacy and pollutes and create an unfairness and discrimination. And the fourth one, what Sunil was mentioning about is equally and more important is also the environmental dimension. That means that the AI system limits their footprint on the environment, because we don't want it to be kind of hogging the environmental resources. It has to limit its footprint across that, and which means that a push for a synthetic data to limit the data extraction. This is another area which we can explore, because AI has to leverage the data, and obviously we can't leverage the data across any area. So we should have a mechanism to prepare or limit our data to a synthetic data, kind of a focus on AI system that can help to tackle data pollution, because I was surprised when the amount of data the companies have, and they don't realize the impact of having this data on the environment associated. So in fact, we are thinking of coming up with something called as a Wipro AI Impact Index across these areas, considering the human, social, environmental, technical dimension associated with it. So there's a lot of focus in this area, because this is something which is very unique, driven by Thierry himself, that we will do something which is responsible AI. We're not going to do anything and everything about AI, but only focus in the direction with the proper kind of a mindset working towards the responsible AI. So I thought of sharing that.
No, thank you for
Just
sharing.
one point.
Extremely fascinating. Go ahead, Sunil.
No,
Go
just
ahead,
one
Sunil.
point which I missed. I just wanted to bring in the dimension about this whole scope 1, scope 2, scope 3, because there's a lot that you can do from a scope 1 standpoint, which is a lot in your internal control. Scope 2 is your supply chain, where to a certain extent you can impact, but most studies have shown that the larger impact can be created in scope 3, which is much beyond your supply chain. So there, I think it needs a collective effort. We need a lot of stakeholders to come together to really make this happen, because the scope to reduce emissions, especially scope 3, that will go a long way in making sure that we're able to, get to net zero by 2070 if the industries get their act together.
Correct.
No, I agree. And Samir, Shweta, would you like to add on to the overall discussion on responsible AI and sustainability here with your own experiences maybe, or anything that you want to add on?
Oh, absolutely. I think the scope 3 where he spoke about, right, and that's where like emissions, so that's a subject where I've done a lot of personal research as well. That's an area where AI can play in such a huge role, right? We picked up for one of our fairly large clients, we picked up really assessing and figuring out what are those emission sources, right? And to that emission sources, where all across the plants are they located, and the kind of emissions that they are producing, and how can those emissions can then be plotted, and then we could work towards how could those emissions be then neutralized, right? So really being able to assess that, and that is of course within a ecosystem, which is an organization's ecosystem. But when you really move ahead and really bring the industry together, there are quite a few areas, specifically from an emissions standpoint, where there is need for a larger industry bodies to really come together, and AI can play a huge role, right? I mean, AI can play a role in areas way beyond where our corporates are really, or what I would say in a traditional way of corporates, right? In agriculture, AI has a huge role, right? AI has a huge role in terms of how water is managed, how that is dispensed, how, so in government authorities, right? In logistics, how transportation is managed. It's basically helping you use your resource more efficiently. It's helping you, like energy examples, Sunil. Most of that are really getting to how do you use what you have efficiently so that you could do more with less, right? And AI is coming in every area to be able to help do that, and hence forward the sustainability. I think that being able to do more with less and hence do that sustainably in every area where which matters, whether it is utilities, whether it is your operations, whether it's emissions, right? It can be a huge contributor there.
Absolutely.
Absolutely,
I think,
agree.
Shweta, what you rightly said, I think this whole infinite possibility what AI presents, what I call solving the large, complex, unresolved problems, while corporates have understood, but if you really look at society, humanity, or countries or geographies at large, never ever, if we really look at, we've seen that much, I would say, adoption of AI. Like 68 countries today have drafted their AI policy, which is unprecedented. I'll give an example here, how come I would say countries are taking AI to the next level. So I made a presentation to Bar Council of India last year. Now, as we know that judiciary system really needs some great change altogether, specifically from India point of view. Let me give some numbers around this. There are 330 million legal cases in India. 84% of these 330 million legal cases have an average pendency of 13.8 years, almost 14 years. 74% of a lawyer's time, could be a Supreme Court lawyer or a High Court or a Session Court lawyer, gets into consuming almost or sifting through about 523 sections and subsections of Indian Penal Act, almost 3/4, 75% of the time. Now think of this. If generative AI tool can be used to create a Google-like repository of all the current legal cases at the disposal of a lawyer who can actually look at any existing proceeding, correlate with the previous kind of a proceedings or the verdicts which have happened, and try to kind of create a reckoner of its own, which is led by AI. It could be a game-changing thing altogether. And it's not difficult, because here we are talking about the whole engine of NLP, text, image coming alive, because today everything today is being done manually. Now, this could be a game-changing thing, what a country like India could actually benefit. The other case in point, and this is already, I would say, a work in motion. We are all aware that Nagpur today is known for oranges, right? In terms of the agriculture produce. And we've grown through that fact that Nagpur is known for that oranges. But the fact is, over the last 14 years, the yield of the oranges have come down in Nagpur. So the government actually took a study to study the soil density of the Nagpur. And only IIT Chennai has a 27-30 year records of the soil density of the entire India districts and all kind of a thing. When the study was done using AI in terms of climate, density, the whole demographic population, it was found maybe Nagpur in the next 10 to 15 or 20 years should not grow oranges. It should actually grow something else. And that turned out to be broccoli. So soon you will see, this was an initiative made by the government using AI, that maybe Nagpur in the 10 years from now would be known using broccoli than oranges. Just a few examples how this whole magic or the power of AI could lead to a next level.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow, it's fascinating. Great, excellent. So, and thank you. So that was a scintillating first round, and thank you, panelists, for that. Moving on to the second round, actually, I have a common question around the table for all the panelists. Of course, I would try and elicit individual responses from each one of you, your own perspective, on one idea on how AI can be leveraged in terms of job creation, skills development, and or economic inclusion. So maybe start with you again, Shaveta.
Absolutely, I can start, right? Before I jump onto the idea, I just wanted to give a bit of context, right? I think there is a lot of fear around AI taking away jobs, right?
Yeah.
So, and I'd like to quote that, and it's by World Economic Forum, that by 2025, AI is expected to automate, say, 75 million jobs globally, but it will create another 133 million new jobs in that case, right? So what is really changing is an era, right? Every time an industrial era has changed, there has been apprehension of traditional ways of working going away and hence jobs going away. It's not, yes, there is a kind of job that goes away, but there are equal or larger set of new jobs that gets created in the process, right? There is a transformation in the job market, which is presenting with challenges and opportunities for workers and employers in it, right? All of us are more worried for us as workers, but even as employers, and all of us are in that shoes today, to say it's an equal amount of challenge and opportunity that we need to be, balancing with. There are, newer set of skill sets that needs to be acquired, right? There are new business models which are emerging. There are new sectors that are emerging, right? A very simple example all of us see around is digital assistants, smart home appliances. All of that has career aspects for hardware engineers, for data analysts, for software developers. And forget all of that. These are the people somehow attached to the digital and tech industry, right? Even in your day-to-day, you're writing an email, Gen AI can help you write that, right? So and that democratization, just we need to learn to coexist with it. And that will happen now with this, right? Everything that we do, as long as it's not a monotonous and automatable, right, through AI, I think the need of human to make that decision, right? We've made these machines, we collaborate with them, decision making in that real environmental data still continues to stay with the humans, right? It's about how we learn to acquire those skills and deliver, leveraging it rather than feeling threatened.
Well said. And the headlines sometimes can be misleading. So it will say so many million jobs would be affected. Affected, yes, but will they actually go away? Probably not. They might get affected in some way, So some of the monotonous aspects might go away. You could do with a little bit of upskilling there, but affected doesn't mean they go away.
Correct.
Absolutely.
In fact, I'll just add to what Arun and you and Shaveta shared, and I'll give you a real example. Been in the technology for the last 30 years, and I realized the problem of the techies not understanding the business domain. This is one of the biggest problem statement, which probably all my colleagues will agree. So probably there will be maybe 25-30% of the people in technologies who understand the business domain very well, or to the significant extent, so that there is no ball falling through the crack when they communicate to develop some solution. Now, when it comes to Gen AI, things like where we will see the efficiencies of the code writing is going to improve. I look upon my developers who will kind of free up, if not 50%, even if they free up 30% of their capacity, I would want them to upskill to know the business domain, learn about the business whom you are supporting, because that's going to be the next big area for job creations. Because trust me, I come from a banking where there is a section called as or a unit called as a business solution team. These are the people who are you can call as an interpreter between the business demand and the technology need. So these are generally the people in the business operations, people who have a flair for technology. They kind of a play. So I used to hire these people in my team earlier in the banking, and I'm doing exactly the same over here right now in my new avatar also over here. And I feel this is an area which will kind of a boom up where, and it's up to the people if they feel. And they have to realize that this is the most important area, because as a techies, they have forgotten that they are there for business. They don't understand the business. They just work on the BRD document. Okay, I will try and you ask for ABC, you get an outcome A1, B2, C1, something else. So it's important for them to understand the business domain, talk to the business in their language. And this is a skill. Trust me, these are the skills which are the highest paid people in the banking domain. I can tell you that more than the techies, more than the business. These are the people who understand the banking and the techno-functional people. And this is the area which people to start developing themselves, in my view. And this is the area where they have to upskill themselves. And the people who don't realize this will get perished for sure. They need to worry. They have to figure it out how they kind of get into this area. So again, coming back to the question, what you are referring to, and then we know that in the near and the midterm, the majority of the economic value generated by the Gen AI will be in the form of worker productivity. And obviously, I was just going through one of the report from McKinsey, and they're estimating the AI productivity will unlock close to $6 trillion in terms of the economic value. Now, obviously, when it's going to unlock this area, it will create a lot of opportunities for the people, as long as people understand and grab those opportunities. If people are not willing to kind of let go their current skill and not willing to reskill, as you rightly said, Arun, people will perish. So I see a lot of potential in this area, new areas of skills, new areas of development, and something new will come up to leverage this $6.1 trillion worth of economic value, which will be available for us to kind of leverage.
Sure, absolutely agree. Samir, your thoughts on the question?
So, see, flipping back around to your question is, essentially, there is a rebalancing of human-machine equation which is happening when it comes to displacement of jobs. What does every revolution brings? It actually brings the real or the core nature of the jobs alive. What's the job of a chemist or a pharmacist? Is it to give medicine or to counsel the well-being of the patient? What's the job of a lawyer? Is it to solve the cases on a much more swift basis, or to kind of take those proceedings to the next date? Now, this is where the component of AI, because of the intelligence coming into the system, starts creating what I call nuanced approach in the core jobs. And this time now it's not only hitting the base level, it's hitting the mid and the senior level. I'll give an example. Copywriting, which is considered to be a very intellectual kind of a, let's say, creative piece of a job in the ad industry. A chat GPT can actually furnish a rallying cry or a tagline of a company in few minutes. Now, going back, what is the job of a creative director or a copywriter? I think over there, the struggles of how we are operating today versus how our jobs will be operating tomorrow will be quotient, which obviously means the intelligence has to be taken to the next level, which is where the machines will find hard to cope up and taking the notches up, which is what the human intelligence comes. And this is where I think that phase, what we are in today, is what I call a AI conundrum. Proliferation is happening, the inadequate kind of a knowledge what Anup was talking, and to the point where suddenly a tool like ChatGPT comes and disrupts the system. And this will be on for some time. And this is where the aspect of how job reskilling, upskilling, new career pathways and ladders will start evolving across functions and in different industries.
Well, that's fascinating. I quite like the imagery where AI is actually sort of peeling the layers and getting to the core. So the actual core of that particular job or activity emerges. Everything else just gets taken care of in that sense. So that's fascinating. Good. Sunil, your thoughts on this?
Yes, Arun, I'll just address job creation. And I just wanted to share an experience I had recently. I got empaneled with T-Hub, which is India's largest startup incubator, as a mentor. And I was there about a few weeks back, and I had a chance to meet young, bright minds, 10 startups trying to solve B2B, B2C problems. And it was so fascinating to see the kind of energy they have. And most of them whom I met, they're all trying to see how they can fuse AI into some of their products and services. So they realize that potential. So startups definitely can be one of the biggest creators of jobs, especially in the area of AI. I'm also, as I mentioned, working with CII. I'm part of the National AI Forum. We have a big initiative where we are trying to recognize some of the startups who are doing really great work. We are actually doing one big event sometime in Delhi in December, where we're going to invite nominations from startups who are trying to really build AI solutions. We're also inviting companies who have done some great work in AI. And the whole objective is to see how we can democratize AI. And in that process, create a lot more jobs. So startups, yes. And what is also fascinating, Arun, is that I'm also started to see many of the non-tech companies, many of the manufacturing companies are now wanting to take people with such AI skills within their organization. So while they might need help from system integrators, solution providers who provide AI, they're also wanting to build teams internally to kind of, build some of those solutions.
Sunil. And that's exactly where I started from, right? The entire manufacturing ecosystem, now AI is everywhere, right? So they need that skill set to be able to deliver on manufacturing the traditional products, right? It's no longer just the hammer and the screw.
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing which I'm just thinking, I'm taking a cue from what Samir was talking about, giving a Nagpur example, moving from oranges to broccoli. Maybe government take something kind of a incentivized kind of an AI use cases that can focus towards the communities to increase their productivity and thereby enabling an economic inclusivity. So I'm just thinking, I don't have any use case, but I think that was a phenomenal example. And it's an eye opener, and this is where the government can play a big role in terms of the economic inclusivity which these solutions can bring in.
See, from a government standpoint, another big use case is also in the administrative boundaries, right?
Yeah.
Where exactly today administrative boundaries are, I've done that research as well, as fund adoptions of AI. So there are very, very interesting use cases from a government and from a planning standpoint, right? That AI could enable, because it could consume data like never, right?
Right.
Absolutely. Look, it's been a fascinating discussion, very invigorating. I learned a lot as well. We are coming up to the top of the hour, and the next session that's sort of slated after us would begin at the top of the hour. I do want to thank all the esteemed panelists here for the deep insights, the wonderful conversations. I hope the audience enjoyed it as much. I did, and learned a lot. And my, sincere thanks, extreme gratitude to all of you, and wish you well. And we'll be in touch. So, Kashish, I hand this back over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So we are live on the